go ahead and kick this demo off. Welcome again, everyone that has joined us, and thank you for joining. Welcome to our live demo series. My name is Beth, and I am a senior account and marketing manager here at Octane AI. And I'm joined by my coworker and our customer support specialist, Ariel, today. He is going to talk through one of our biggest integrations and main integrations that we have here at Octane AI, which is Klaviyo. And specifically, he's going to talk through how to set up a Klaviyo flow once your customers complete a quiz, where you can then send them your results.
Okay, hi everyone. Thank you so much for joining. Welcome to the presentation. My name is Ariel. I'm from the Octane AI customer support team, and I'll be your presenter for today. So today we are going to go over the differences between the quiz completed event and the custom profile data. We are going to see how to create a basic Klaviyo flow with the quiz data, and also how to build a universal dynamic block with the quiz data that can be used in other Klaviyo templates. So we can get started now. All right, so before we get started, a quick disclaimer. Most of the features that we are going to show here today are only available for the Octane Plus plan and above. If you're on the Octane base plan, stick around because you still see a lot of useful information here today. You get a better overview of how the integration with Klaviyo works and what sort of data you can use. Okay, so to get started, first we need to clarify what are the differences between the two types of data that we send to Klaviyo. So these two types of data, they are the custom properties and the profile properties and the quiz completed event data. So the custom properties, how they look like is that they are attached to Klaviyo profiles. So just so that we can set up the stage here first, we have a very basic quiz here. It asks the skin type, so dry and oily. It asks the email, and then it gives you a result based on if you have a dry skin or oily skin. So these are the products that are recommended for each. And this is a profile that I use to submit the quiz. So it already has all the profile properties. And the thing about the profile properties, the number one limitation for them is that they don't have any data like images or more complex data like that. You can see that it only accepts text properties. So you have, for instance, the question, the results page, you have the recommended products, but you can access the product images, for example. And you can see how the profile properties will look like from your quiz by going to the Connect tab here at the top. And you can see, for instance, the first question, what is your skin type? And then we have dry and oily. And with this profile, I answered dry skin. So you can see what's your skin type, dry. And you can edit these so they look as you need them to look, but I won't go over into this. And the good thing about the profile properties, the best use case for them is that they can be used to segment profiles. They can be used inside your flows as a conditional split. And I'm going to show that in practice in just a moment. And now one other thing about the profile properties is that profiles can only enter list flows once. So if you're on the Octane base plan and you create a list flow, like when a customer is added to a list, they enter that flow, that profile can only enter that flow once. So it's very good for either welcome flows or longer term campaigns. Now, the second type of data that we send is the quiz completed event data. The quiz completed event data, you can see here, it's this little flag, quiz completed, and it has all the information from the quiz submission. So this includes, for instance, the product images, all the products that were recommended, the questions. It's basically all of the data that is here in the profile properties, but attached to the event, and we also get the images. And the thing about the main difference between the two is that with the quiz completed event, you can join a flow many times. So let's say that I submitted the quiz today and I joined the flow today. If I submit the quiz tomorrow, I'll join the flow again. So this is perfect for cases such as discount emails or quiz result emails, because you can always get the most up-to-date information. And you can also here in the quiz, if you go to the Connect tab and you go to Klaviyo, this is the event name of the quiz completed event. And it's very common when you sometimes copy a quiz, you have an existing quiz that is already connected to Klaviyo, and you copy it, it comes out with the same event name. So this can be a common issue. Make sure to always check your event name and your profile properties as well to make sure that everything looks good. All right, so now what we are going to do next is that we are going to create a flow that uses the quiz completed event to populate the product data inside an email template. So to do that, let's go to flows here. And we are going to start from scratch. So let's go to build your own. Build your own again. Let's name it Klaviyo Webinar. Create. And now how do we check for that metric trigger? We go here to your metrics. We go to Octane AI, and this is the list of all the quiz completed events that I have in my profile. And as you can see, we have the Klaviyo webinar here, and it looks the same as it looks here. So Klaviyo webinar. And one thing about the metric flows is that you can only select the trigger once. So let's say, for instance, in the future, you want to set up another quiz and use the same flow. You can't go here and edit the trigger. This trigger can only be set once per flow. So if you have a different quiz, you'll need to create a new flow. And now what I mentioned about the profile properties and how they are useful in order to limit the flow to certain profiles is that you can go here, for instance, profile filters. And let's say that you want to send this flow to everyone that completed the quiz, but only if they have dry skin or only if they got recommended a certain product. So you can go here to condition, properties about someone. We can search here for skin, and you can see the same question that's in my quiz. What's your skin type? Equals dry. So now with this, only people that have completed the quiz and that have dry skin will enter this flow. I won't save this for now because I'm just going to use a general metric trigger. So let's save, confirm and save. And there we have it. Whenever someone completes the quiz, they will join this flow. And also the way you can also use profile properties is that you can use them in conditional splits. So I'm going to show you real quick how to do this. So you add a conditional split and you want to send an email if someone has dry skin and a different email if they have oily skin. So we can go here, properties about someone, same thing. Let's search for the skin question. So equals dry. And let's save it. So now if someone has dry skin, they'll be taken to the yes path. If they have oily skin, they'll be taken to the no path. And you can make this as complex as you need to. I'm just going to go over this real quick just so that we can get started with the actual flow. So now let's create a flow for the dry skin. So let's drag the email here. Let's click it and let's go to select template. Now, if you're working with Klaviyo, I'm sure that you have beautiful templates that you can use. But for this demonstration, we're just going to go with a blank template just so that we can show you how to actually use the data. And we're not going to go over any sort of specific customization or how to make your templates look good here, just how to use the data. All right, so to get started here, let's add a table. And now you go to styles, and here is something very interesting and very important. So pay attention to this. You have two types of tables. You have the static table and the dynamic table. With the static table, you need to set up everything by hand. So let's say that I have my quiz here and I have 2 results. But let's pretend that we can get from a range of 1 to 3 products in the results. If I don't know the exact amount of products that I'm going to get, I can set up a static table, because if I have, for instance, 3 products for a customer, but another customer gets 1 product, if I set a static table for just 1 product, everyone will just get 1 product. So the static table is not responsive and it's not ideal for this type of flow. So for this, we go with a dynamic table. With a dynamic table, what we are going to do is that we are only going to set it up once, and once we do that, the tables will be created automatically by Klaviyo with the products. This might not make a lot of sense now, but I'm just going to show you this and it's going to click. So the first thing that we need to set up here in the dynamic table is the row collection. This is basically telling Klaviyo where to get the data from. So we are going to get it from the event.products_all. So we are going to get the information from all products inside the quiz completed event. And we also have to set up a row alias, because this is how we are going to refer to this. So let's go back to content and text. What we can do to get started here, Klaviyo, the variable syntax, it's 2 pairs of brackets like this. And now we use the row alias quiz.title. This is targeting all product titles. Okay, so these are all the product titles. If we go to preview and test, you can see that it automatically populated the 2 products that I got recommended. They were the moisturizer and the soap. And you can see that they were populated automatically. Klaviyo created 2 tables with the information that I only had to input once. And we can target other information from the product as well. For instance, let's say we want to add the quiz price. And one very cool thing about Klaviyo is that you can use the variable syntax inside your own formatting. So let's add the $sign here, preview and test. Now you can see that there are 2 tables with the product name and the product price. We can add also the product description, the product link. And if you're thinking like, how can I remember all the syntax? Well, you don't have to. If you go here to preview and test, and you go to event properties, this is how the properties look. So you remember that we are targeting products _all with the row alias. And we can use, for instance, quiz.description, quiz.image, quiz.tag, quiz.id, quiz.price formatted, quiz.link. We can use any property that is inside here. So let's add now a link to the product. So to add a link, you can do something like shop now, then select it, then select the link tag, and add the double brackets again, quiz.link. And now if we go to preview and test, and we go here, you can see that we have the product title, the product price, and the product link all done automatically. So we can click on the product and we are taken to the product link. But this doesn't look as good. What would make it look better? We can add an image here. So to add the product image, we can go to image here. So we can either click the image cell or change here at the top, then select image, go to dynamic image, and now we can use the same variable. So quiz.image, the same variable syntax. Save, and now once we preview it, we can see that we have the product title, the product price, the product link, and the product image all populated automatically. And if we select another profile, we can see the different products. Klaviyo just get the data from the quiz and populates it automatically. And Klaviyo supports a lot of advanced customization. This looks a bit bare bones, but you can do things like customize the HTML directly. You can format this text. You can make it center aligned. You can do a lot of things here, but this is not the point of the presentation today. So if you need help with this, I highly recommend that you get in touch with a Klaviyo professional, with a designer or with a developer, and they'll make this look as good as you need to. But for the purposes of this presentation, I just want to show you how to get and use the data here. One other interesting thing that we can do is that we can add a button with the quiz results. So let's say that you want to send a results email so that if a user submits the quiz, takes the quiz, they can see the results at any time from their email. So let's rename this to your results. Now, what type of syntax do we put in here? The row alias that we set up was only for the table. So if we do something like quiz.link, it won't work. So to get the syntax, we can go here to preview and test, go here to the event properties, and find the quiz results URL property. If we click it, Klaviyo will copy it to our clipboard, so you can see how it looks. It would be a bit difficult to remember this and type it by hand. So let's go back there and let's paste the syntax here. This is basically looking up the quiz results URL property from the event. So let's preview and test. We now have our products, the product images, the prices, the links, and if we click on results, I'm taken to the results that I got when I first took the quiz. All right, so now that we have our basic template set up, I want to create another email template, but I want to use this information here. Do I need to do everything again? No, there's one very interesting thing that you can do in Klaviyo. If you click this little star icon here, you can save this as a universal content, and you can use it across many different email templates that you have, many different flows. And since the syntax for the quiz completed event product is the same, it's going to work every time. So let's save both the table. So let's save it as webinar table and the results button. So webinar button. Okay, so you remember that we were setting this for the dry skin path. So we're back in the flow. The email for the dry skin path is done. Now we want a different template for the oily skin. Let's pretend that I already have a template that is specific for the oily skin, but I also want to use the quiz information there. We can set up the email again. So email, select template. Let's go with a blank one again. Now, if we go to universal, you can find both the button and the table that we just created. So let's drag the table and let's drag the button. Now, if we preview it, it's a different template, but it's still giving me the same results because I'm using that universal content. So as you can see, the universal content feature is extremely useful if you want to use your quiz information across many different templates. And this is very simple, but just imagine what you can do if you have a very cool looking table here. You can save it and reuse it across your flows and templates. And it's just going to be amazing. It's going to be very customizable, and your clients will surely appreciate the personalization that is going into their quiz results. All right, so this is basically it, what I wanted to show you today. We can now start the Q&A session.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Ariel. That was amazing. We are going to jump into Q&A. We do have a couple questions that I answered in the chat box, but I wanted to share on the demo as well. That way everyone, other people might have the same question. But Ariel, the question was, what happens if the details of the person changes? In our case, if a person changes from oily skin to dry skin due to aging, will their answers never change in Klaviyo, even on the Plus plan?
Okay, so when a person, for instance, takes the quiz again, let's say that the first time they took the quiz, they had the oily skin, and the second time they got the dry skin. When they do that, both their profile property will be updated as well as their quiz completed event. When someone takes the quiz, when the quiz completed event is fired, the person can enter the flow many times. So for instance, let's say I submitted the quiz today with dry skin, and next week I submitted the quiz again with oily skin. I'm going to get a different set of email because it's when I take the quiz again, I'm going to rejoin the flow. So it's kind of like I'm renewing my profile in a sense.
Yeah, exactly. So as long as you have the metric trigger flow set up, you can take the quiz 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 times, and your answers will update every single time into Klaviyo, and you will get a new email result sent to you every single time you take. So amazing. A couple other questions. One is, will the answers from my open-ended questions, like what is your name, for example, also sync to Klaviyo?
Yes, your open-ended questions will also go to Klaviyo as a custom property. It'll be like the name of the question and then the answer, just like the other types of questions.
Perfect. And last question we have is, I noticed the custom properties for some of my quiz answers do not appear in Klaviyo, even though they're set up in the Connect tab. What's wrong?
Okay, so the profile properties that are sent to Klaviyo are only the ones that have been taken in the live quiz. So you remember from the profile that I showed you as an example that I selected the dry skin as an answer. And my profile only had the dry skin property. If I were to take the quiz again, and select oily skin, the profile property in Klaviyo would be updated and it would add the oily skin one as well. So the only ones that show in Klaviyo are the ones that have been submitted in a live quiz. So as your customers submit the quizzes with different answers, then the profile properties will be populated accordingly.
Yep, perfect. Love that. We do see that a lot when a new quiz is launched, or the same day that the quiz launches. So just make sure, sometimes we recommend that you test the quiz and you answer all of the answers. That way all of the properties get sent to Klaviyo before you set the quiz live for your actual customers. But yeah, that is exactly how you would fix that issue. So perfect. Thanks so much, Ariel. You copied the universal table, one time set to dry and one time to oily. There should be different contents displayed. Can they be set up differently then for each email from the same universal content, or can be set up differently?
Well, the universal content, it uses the syntax, so it's going to pull the information from the quiz event dynamically. In that case, since I was using the same profile, it was pulling the same information. But let's say, for instance, you had the dry skin segment, the dry skin path, and the oily skin path, and you actually have customers with different properties. It'll show their respective properties. So for instance, if I had the dry skin and I joined the dry skin flow, even with the same universal content, it'll show me the dry skin results. But if I go to the oily path and with the same universal content, I'm going to be shown the oily results. I'm not sure if I fully understood your question, so please let me know if this answered it.
That was it. Perfect. Amazing. Thank you so much. Any other questions? We have a few more minutes. But if you do have any other questions that pop up after we end this call, like usually that happens, please feel free to email. I'm putting my email right here on the screen, beth@octane.ai. You can also reach out to our customer support chat with any questions. We're happy to answer any questions related to this webinar itself. Any other Klaviyo questions you might have, feel free to send those in. And then one other thing to mention, this is our second live demo that we're doing. We started these last month, and we hope to do them once a month. So if you have any questions or topics that you want to see covered live on these demo webinars, please feel free to send those in to me as well. We want to make these really informative for you all, and make sure that we're talking about topics that matter to you and make your quizzes successful, and make sure you're using Octane AI to its full potential. But again, any questions, please reach out to us, and we're happy to answer them for you. So thanks so much for joining, and have a good rest of your week, everyone.